What's up, guys? So let's jump right into the creatures of nature. Since you're not running and you don't have a lot of really powerful spells with nature, you're typically running overstated creatures, and I really like to do that. And that's why nature is one of my favorite gods, if not the best god, the god I like to play the most. Even though it doesn't get a lot of love, it's pretty. I think it's pretty good. So the first creature we have here is gonna be the simple satyr. I've tried to play this, but the stat line is super bad for this. It needs to be at least a 1/3 in order to be viable. At the end of the turn, heal your god for 2. So I'm gonna have to put this in the 3-star category because the stat line is not viable to be able to be played. It doesn't have ward. It's fairly easy dealt with, even though it has a really good effect. It's gonna get people deal with it super fast. The next one we have is Gloom Druid. Your confused creatures get +2 strength. I've played this before. It's good in an aggro deck that has a lot of confused creatures, but it's not great. So I'm gonna have to put this in the 3-star category because you typically don't run this in your deck. Loam Naturalist. At the end of your turn, move 2 random cards from your void and add a random nature card to your hand. So you're gonna see that a lot of cards have this effect, and this is basically the same effect as the god power you can choose, which is the Forage, one of my favorite god powers, by the way. The problem with Loam Naturalist is its stat curve. At 1/1 it's super bad. It needs to be at least 1/2 in order to be able to survive to an easy board clear or minions that deal 1 damage directly, in order to be viable. If it was, then it would be 4 stars, but since it's a 1/1, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Next we have Ruins Explorer, where you delve an item and you put it into your hand. It's pretty good. At the 1/2 stat line is good, and an item's also gonna give you 1 extra mana, and you can use the item next turn. So I'm gonna have to put this in the 4-star category because it's a really good card to play, even though you don't see this in a lot of decks. After this we have Wild Life Wonder, where it's a 2 mana 1/3. Whenever you play nature card, heal your god for 3. So as you can see, this is the thing I was talking about, the simple start here, but the difference is that you can get healed several times in a turn compared to simple satyr, and this card can get out of hand pretty quickly because whenever you play nature cards, so it can be creatures. So you would play this in a turn 5, for example. You play this, 2 extra creatures, you're already healed for 6, you gain your mana's worth, and then if this survives, you're completely healing for a bunch of health every turn, and it's super good. So this is definitely a 4-star card. After this, we have another 4-star card, the Underbrush Boar. Underbrush Boar is so good. I like to run it in every nature deck because it's a really good removal. Removal in the sense that when you play it, at the end of the turn it's going to attack a random enemy creature, and if they have less than if they have 2 strength or less, and you can kill them, if they're like 2/3 for example, you kill it, this survives, and then the next turn you're also going to be able to attack with this, so to kill another creature. So for 2 mana, possibly a lot of times you can deal with 2 creatures at different turns, but you can deal with 2 creatures. So this is definitely a 4-star card for me. Next we have Carcass Vulture, 2-star card that increases in stats every time a creature dies. It's very specific in terms of the scenario where it shines, but when it shines it can be really good. But I'm still gonna have to put it in the 3 stars category because generally you have much better options like the Underbrush Boar or the Wild Life Wonder or the Black Jaguar at the 2 mana slot. Then we have the Thresher Bug. The Thresher bug. After each creature attacks a creature, deal 2 damage to a random enemy creature. The problem with this is that it only has 2 health, so generally when you attack another creature, this is gonna die. If it had if it was a 2/3, then this would be worth it. It would be a 4-star card, but since it's not, I'm gonna put it in the 3 stars. It's still useful. It's a 2/2. So with deal 2 damage, so it can become like a deal 4 damage, for example. But it also has confused, so it can miss. So I'm gonna have to put it in the 3 stars. Next we have Mistress Scythia with destroy all cards in your deck that cost 2 or less. I'm gonna put this in the 2-star category because generally spending 3 mana for this low of a stat curve, even though it's really good in the late game because then you draw super high creatures, but the problem is like 2 mana or less, not great. If you would say 3 mana or less, then yes, and then it would still have to be like a 3/3 or at least a 2/3 in order to be viable. So this is going to be a 2-star. Next we have Shrine of Sotek. It's these cards. I like it because I like this type of effects where you get random nature cards into your hand. The problem is the stat line. Like a 3 mana 0/2 with this, it's gonna die right away. So this card has to get like a 2-star rating. It works pretty well with one of the cards we're gonna see next afterwards, which is Sothek. But at 0/2 it's terrible. It needs to be at least 0/4 or 0/2 with protected, something like that, in order to be viable. Next we have Rebel Quartermaster, and Rebel Quartermaster is awesome. For me it's a 5-star card because if you're able to cheat out mana, and there's ways to do this with nature, once you start dropping creatures, it's gonna get out of hand pretty quickly, and they're gonna have to deal with that super fast. But if they don't, and in the scenarios where they don't, this card is so good. And paired with, for example, the Animal Bond God Power, it's gonna buff your creatures so hard. The difference is you typically be playing this along with another big threat, so that they would always focus the big threat first and leave this alive, so you keep getting value from the issue with this is that you need to at least get 2 extra creatures in order to recover the value, because then you would get at least it would be a 3 mana 3/4, and that would be good in terms of stat line. Ideally 3 creatures in order to be positive, but it's for me it's still a 5-star because I've played games with this where this absolutely dominates the game. There's also games where it doesn't dominate, but it's a fairly fun card to play, so you should get it and put it in your decks. It's on the lower end of 5 stars, but it's still pretty good. Next we have Revenant Lynx. This is a 4-star card for sure, because you always want to play this on turn 3, and this needs to be in every nature deck, where you play this, and then along with this you play an Underbrush War or a Black Jaguar, and you're playing on a turn 3 or potentially on turn 2 with a bag of tricks. If, for example, on turn 2 you're dropping a 4/2 plus a 3/3, so that's gonna be 7/5 worth of stats on turn 2, and that's super powerful. It's a super good opening for nature, and this is definitely on the upper hand of 4 stars. Next we have Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout is really good because Delve is typically a mechanic that's super good and is super worth the mana, even if you're spending 3 mana for a 1/2. Delving allows you to choose a specific nature card. It's much better than getting random cards, so this is going to be 4-star. Then we have Mottled Ranger, also delve a nature creature, putting it into your hand. It's the same thing. The difference is it's a nature creature, not a nature card, but it's still pretty good. It still needs to be 4 stars. I think any delve creature right now in the game, as the game is right now, in the future if there are more delve cards then this becomes lower, but right now it's super powerful. Next we have Proud Conscriptor, with it's an Amazon that has an afterlife, summon 2/2 Amazon recruits. For me this is a 4-star card because there's a lot of board clears in the game, a lot of removals, and this being able to drop 2 extra bodies after it dies, it's super good. It needs to be in a lot of decks in order to be able to be competitive. So 4 stars. Next we have Spelljam Shaman. For me, Spelljam Shaman is a really good card. The problem is that it never survives, because after he knows that when he plays the spells he's gonna add the random nature card. So you're at least, if they're using a spell to get rid of it, you're at least getting 1 card, 1 random nature card to your hand, and I would argue that that's worth 2 mana. So that would put this at a 2 mana 2/3. But you need to at least get 2 in order to be worth it. But since I've played this and it never survives to see the light of day, so I'm gonna put this at 3 health. 3 stars out of 5. Next we have Agrodor Protector. Agrodor Protector is one of the best nature cards. 4 stars for me. It's super good. You should run it in every deck. Great stat line, great effects, frontline and regen. Overall, great card. Next we have Avatar of Nature, and Avatar of Nature is a 5-star card for me because it allows you to survive a lot. If they leave this on the board, then this becomes absolutely preposterous because every walking plant heals you for 4 and it can get out of hand super quickly, and this is one of the type of cards you can combo with, for example, Rebel Quartermaster. This becomes a 6/6 and every turn it's going to be summoning a 2/2 on the board. They're going to want to deal with this first because it's of a higher priority than Rebel Quartermaster, and then your Quartermaster is going to survive, and you already got 8 worth of stats plus an heal for 4 for 5 mana, and that's amazing. Next we have Bucking Bronco with Blitz Confused. When this creature attacks, each enemy creature becomes confused. This is okay. It's not that great of a card to play. I would have to put this at the 3-star level. I've seen this play, it might work, but generally it's not good. Next we have Myrtle's Daughter. Amazing card, works really well with other Amazons. Giving for 3 basically makes this a 6/5 worth of stats for 5 mana, but the thing is that this has Blitz, at least a 2/2 body with Blitz, and also it can combo super well with, for example, Agrodor Protector because of the mana curve. So on turn 4 you do Agrodor Protector, turn 5 you do Myrtle's Daughter, it's gonna become a 7/8 worth of stats with frontline and regen 1. So this card's super good. 4 stars. Next we have Ferocious Rougarou, another 4-star card. It needs to be dealt with right away because it becomes super annoying because you keep summoning nature cards and it's gonna get +1/+1 for each, and it also has regen regen 2, so it's super good. So 4 stars. Next we have Hypolitic Divided. I've tried to play this card. It's not that great, but it's interesting because it gives you a lot of flexibility. It can have a really good stat line at 5/9 stats for 6 mana with Olympian, or you can also have Blitz Protected Amazon, which guarantees you 2 trades. So with nature you don't have any targeted removal, so you would be relying on things like Hypolitic Divided in order to be dealing with the opponent, or Myrtle's Daughter and things like that. So this has to be 4 stars as well. As you can see, a lot of once you start going to the 3 mana and above with nature, there's a lot of 4-star cards, and all of these creatures are super good and super strong to be playing in the deck. Next one, case in point, next one, Black Rhino, one of the best cards in nature, where typically everyone chooses the +3 health and frontline because it's a 6 mana 5/8 with frontline. And that's super good because you can sometimes cheat this out at where you still have 5 mana, and that becomes super good. You should be running this in every nature deck. Getting to the final cards, we have Cicella here that can become super dangerous. I'm gonna put it in the 3-star category because it typically doesn't survive because it has a 4/4 and it can get dealt with, for example, an Inferno and things like that. You play a Cicella on a board, a low mana board, you're gonna buff everything, but then the Magic deck uses an Inferno, gets rid of everything. So typically this card doesn't survive. If it was like a 4/6, or even if you lower the attack, if you make it like a 2/6, or a 2/7 or a 3/6, things like that, then it would be super good. But since it's not, it's a 3 stars for me. Next it's Sothek, one of the cards that I like to play the most in the open beta, but now it's not viable anymore. Whenever you play nature card, refresh 2 mana gems. The thing is, no one's gonna leave this alive on the board because it's so freaking good. And it doesn't have ward, it doesn't have protected, so it's fair. And the stat line's terrible, 4/5. So everyone's gonna deal with it right away, because imagine you're cheating out 2 mana every time you play a nature card, and if you're playing like 3 mana cards, you're basically being able to play 6 cards in a turn. In the turn after this one, this card's played. So typically, I look at Sothek. Maybe I can get. I play this at 9 mana, and then I can cheat something out. I can play this Bag of Tricks, something for 3 mana, get 2 mana, something else. And then I look at the Shrine of Sothek that I'm gonna get, which guarantees me at least, not at least, because they can get rid of Sothek and then the Shrine afterward, but it probably gives me at least 1 extra nature card. So I'm gonna have to put this at 4 mana because of the Shrine of Sothek. If it didn't have it, it would definitely be 4 stars. If it didn't have the Shrine of Sothek, it would be definitely 3 stars. Next we have Rampaging Leviathan. For me, this is super good because it deals 5 damage to a random enemy creature, and it's a 5/5, so it's a good stat line, but it also deals 5 damage directly when you summon it. I think this would be better if this has Blitz, because then you would be able to deal with a lot of stuff. Since it doesn't have it, I'm gonna put it in the 3 stars, even though it's the upper 3 stars type of level, but it's still 3 stars because there's way better cards out there in nature. And then the Fertility Idol. This is the card I wish would work, but it doesn't work because it's way too costly. But at the end of your turn, summon a random copy of another random friendly creature. I think this card would be much better if it was like 3 mana or 2 mana, but then it was like a 0/2 or 0/3. It would guarantee you at least 1 copy of a creature, and then you could just play that creature on the same turn and like choose which creature you're gonna copy. With 7 mana, you're basically wasting a turn with this, and unless you already preset this up, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna have to give this 3 stars out of 5. Anyways, guys, that's nature wrapped up for you. As you can see, there's a lot of 4-star cards with nature, specifically on the starting on the 3 mana up to the 6 mana slots. And I really like to play nature because it pairs well with nature, with the God Power, with the Forage, where you're getting random cards in your hand. You have a lot of resources and really strong creatures, and that's super fun to play with. So anyways, guys, if you like this video, make sure you smash that like button down below, and answer the question in the description to participate in the giveaway. And if you don't agree with any of the reviews that I gave out, let's discuss this in the comments down below. See you guys next time. Peace out. Bye bye.